Now that Dan Snyder has sold the Washington Commanders, here's my list of top 5 owners who need to follow suit and sell. It's been too long for these people, and their franchises are suffering.
Is there one in Arizona?
Oh, there might be.
Okay.
There might just be. And this is, there's 2 NFL, 1
this is all sports.
2 NBA and 1 Major League Baseball. So
should mention, just for clarity's sake, that there's no official deal just yet. It's preliminary, but it looks like it's on the track.
Don't ruin my night.
No, I'm being factual.
I know they've reached agreement,
Right.
but tentative agreement is the word.
But just to be clear, in case something goes awry and like after the fact, but I'm sure this goes through no problem. But there you go.
Number 5, John J. Fisher, who owns the A's. Look, they have kind of subsisted very long on the Moneyball thing, which is Moneyball's a fantastic movie and it was a really interesting book. But I do think that the movie makes people forget that the A's never won anything, really, when they did. How many World Series did Moneyball make them?
None.
Because the late 80s was the Bash Brothers with Canseco and McGuire and Eckersley and all that, and that wasn't Moneyball.
Yeah, that wasn't Moneyball.
And
so
it surely wasn't the years of Catfish Hunter and Vita Blue in the 70s.
No, and so now here you've got an A's franchise that I read an article today that they are trending towards maybe having the worst season in Major League Baseball history because of what they have on their roster.
Want to break their own record?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it's theirs, but
I think it's the Tigers, but
okay. Well, that's just, I think of that, I think of the A's, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's time, look, there's talk of them moving to Las Vegas, which is probably going to happen. The city of Oakland's not going to build a new stadium, which they shouldn't. And the Coliseum is terrible. And so they will probably move to Las Vegas. At that point, he will probably sell the team. But it's time, for the sake of A's fans everywhere, that they get a new owner who is invested in them winning and staying competitive all the time, as opposed to trying to find some kind of secret path through, which they did for a little while, but hasn't worked for them since.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd be most pissed as an Oakland A's fan in that you are about as good as you could possibly be for a franchise that doesn't really appear like they're trying to win all that much. They've got 9 World Series. They've won the division multiple times in the last 20 years. They've made the playoffs like half the time in the last 20 years, despite never going big bankrolling like others in their division. They make the playoffs regularly, despite the fact that if you just think of them, you think like, yeah, sucky baseball, but it's actually not that bad. It's just the thought of just Oakland and the A's together that's a sucky situation, because I wonder, like, if they actually invested, how much would they have won in the last 20 years? If they're regularly making the playoffs, winning the AL West every couple of years, wild card berths, what would they do if they actually were really trying to go all in? And that's what's really sad about it to me, is that you probably could have missed out on a couple more World Series. Maybe that sparks the fire to, rally around staying in Oakland. But I don't think they've ever had any intention of really staying in Oakland, at least the people in charge who have the opportunity to go to Vegas, for example. I don't think that they want to stay in Oakland. They want to go to Vegas. That's what it seems like to me, at least. I know there's been a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of different city council meetings and all sorts of things, but it just ended at this point. It's an embarrassment, that ballpark. It's clear that they don't want to be there. It's clear Oakland doesn't want to do much more than they've done at this point. I'm not saying one side's right or wrong, but, this is headed for the obvious divorce. It's very clear, and get your Las Vegas A's caps ready to roll here in the next 5 to 10 years out, if not sooner than that.
I should have found – I wish I had the picture still on my phone.
They are a pro franchise that doesn't really play the NIL game.
Yeah, no, they're not. When I went there, they were playing the Blue Jays. It was right before Roy Halladay got scratched from the start because he was about to get traded. And I did see him throwing on the side because we were by the bullpen. But I remember getting the seats and going down to our seats, and there were cobwebs on the cup holders.
You realize they've been in talks for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years on this ballpark.
Yeah.
20 years. That's insane. So, I think they're just, let's get to the point. I don't know what all has to be done before then, but I I'd love to eat my words, and the city of Oakland somehow keeps him, but it just seems like, I don't know, for 20 years we've been heading towards this inevitable move to what looks like it'll be Las Vegas. But I know we got to go, man, but hold on for 1 second. Since 2000, division champs in 2000, 2002, 03, 06, 2012, 2013, 2020. Wildcard bursts 01, 14, 18, 19. That's damn good, dude, for a team that's not spending big money.
I was about to think you were going to go the other way. No, they've been competitive in the postseason.
Either won the division or been a wild card nearly all 20 of those 20 years. And not even trying half the time, it seems like, or Moneyball was just that effective. But that's to me just a missed opportunity that they've probably had because they don't want to go all the way in the way that they probably could.
How many Major League franchises have 4 World Series titles since 1972?
Not many.
They're one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, Michael Bidwell from the Cardinals. This is an organization, occasionally like bad ownership groups get to title games, and then you think like, oh man, maybe they figured it out. Based on especially what we've heard from the player survey, the Bidwells have not. And then there's like also this like kind of embezzlement thing going on, or like whatever's going on with the Bidwells. That franchise would be best off, and it's been owned by the Bidwell family for a very long time, going back to when they were in a different city. So I don't see this happening, but that's the one I would like to see for the people of Arizona, to have an owner who seems to like being an owner. I don't know if Michael Bidwell likes that gig. It seemed like everything you hear about him, it seems like he's not. And then like having the GM was suspended and like going around and like all these things, like it just doesn't seem like he likes it all that much. Like he kind of fell into it.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. I know that he's had his fair share of issues. That's all I really know about him. But yeah, I'll take your word for it on how he feels about being an owner, or how he doesn't feel about being an owner. But yeah, I mean, he's not, I don't think, stoking a lot of confidence with that Cardinals franchise or with their fan base based on, what I've seen in the headlines and what you mentioned there.
Yeah. Number 3, the DeVos family, who owns the Orlando Magic. They've owned it for a very long time, but man, this is just an NBA team that's in it's in a place where I think players would want to go, right? Because not only if you had somebody who's going to pay them a lot of money, there's no state income tax. It's in Florida. A lot of guys are from Florida. A lot of people like living in Florida. Around Orlando, Smoak, this is where, Tiger Woods doesn't live far from there. Like, there's beautiful, gigantic, fantastic neighborhoods for them to live in.
Of all the places, and I know I'm not talking like Montana and the Dakotas and places like that, Idaho, but there's a lot of beautiful space still there. Even though Florida is packed, around Orlando, as much as it's grown, kind of like what Phoenix has done in Arizona, there's still so much more. It is a great place to live. I don't know if we want to live too close to Disney World, but Yeah,
but that's even kind of, Disney's kind of even its own little area.
Are they related to the Secretary of Education?
By marriage.
Yeah. Oh, really? So I'm right. Okay.
Yeah, she married into that family.
Okay. All right.
She married into that family right there. Number 2, Jimmy Haslam of the Browns. This is, I think, he might be the one that the other 31 owners are maddest at now, or the other 30, now that Dan Snyder is getting out of the way. Just because, and look, he's not done a good job with the Browns in any way, shape, or form. They keep messing up, and they keep being the Browns, and they keep even being more of the Browns because of some of the things that he does. And I like a lot of the things they have in place now, but giving a suspended quarterback the first fully guaranteed deal for a quarterback in history has had to infuriate the 31 other owners. There's no way that they were like, Jimmy, what do you do? That was good idea.
And it's going to create problems with the Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and others down the road. Yep.
Yeah. It's created this problem with Lamar Jackson in their own division. So,
yeah, I think that was one of the dumbest sports moves. We'll see what Deshaun Watson does, moving forward and how he, potentially, takes them to a place where they haven't been. But, that remains to be seen. And, yeah, just why? Why did you go so all in? I'll never understand that. I really won't. I do get that you were the same franchise that thought drafting Brandon Weeden in the first round to be your future quarterback was a good idea. And then years later, thought Johnny Manziel would be a great idea to come in. And there's been like one after the other in just terms of embarrassing draft picks. So you feel like free agency is the way you're going to save the day, but like just you didn't have to do that. Like you didn't have to take it to the place you took it. And now, yeah, you pissed off everybody else because it was so unnecessary that it screwed up the structure of the rest of the league. I'll never get like who wooed him into thinking like we can get Deshaun Watson, but let's take it one step further and give him like the biggest gob of guaranteed money. I don't get it.
And here's the thing: now that the market has been set, if I am Lamar Jackson, like I'm on Lamar Jackson's side in almost all this because if Deshaun Watson's going to get all that, I'm Lamar Jackson. I've been to the playoffs. I've never been in trouble. I'm a pretty good dude. Like. Here's the market. I get where he's coming from.
Okay,
but
here was an argument, and I believe it was Peter King, who's a hell of a writer, longtime NFL writer, and all the things he's done. He said that one of the reasons you don't give Lamar Jackson $250 guaranteed is because of the time he's missed games. Deshaun Watson missed an entire year and maybe two.
Yeah. He played for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he sat out on his own.
I understand Lamar Jackson,
then,
some of that was injury, but
he sat out on his he sat out on his own, Deshaun Watson, because he was mad at the Texans. Then in the midst of all that, got in trouble and then didn't play again until late last year. So it was a long time. And number one, and he took over the number one spot from Dan Snyder. James Dolan of the Knicks. My gosh. I don't know if there's a fan base, and I'm not knocking any of the fan base, but Knicks fans who love their franchise more in a place that loves basketball more, that the stadium is the mecca of basketball, where the owner of that franchise
arena is the mecca, but not stadium.
Yeah, the arena, the garden. The garden is the place, and you have the owner that is just so bad at that.
Yeah.
That cannot deliver that. In New York City, like this guy is so bad at being the owner of the Knicks.
Isn't he the one that won't let anyone who is suing him enter the arena?
Or just mad at him or said anything bad about him in the media?
Yeah,
he
that
and Charles
sounds
Oakley.
very
It was
Daniel Snyder-esque.
Yeah, it was very... Look, James Dolan is as bad at owning the Knicks as, Roseanne was at singing the national anthem. I mean, it's just that bad.
Sir Blah, Blah, Blah says you've redeemed yourself with today's top five after a slight slump. Craig?
Yeah.
I mean, the Knicks are the 5 seed in the East, so it's not as bad as it has been. I mean, they've got a pretty good thing going this year at least, and I know injuries can impact that, and, I'm not sure how much, hope there is that they're going to, get through the, playoffs and emerge on the other side of that, but there's at least been – some reasons for excitement this year, and obviously
Jalen Brunson, right, Craig?
Getting Jalen Brunson was part of that from the Mavericks, and there's actually a little bit of hope going on right now, but not because of James Dolan. But I mean, there's at least that working in his favor as opposed to the rest of his tenure as owner of the Knicks when they've been fighting for the lottery top pick. So yeah, I mean, there's some exciting basketball at least being played at MSG, and He's a guy with a whole lot of money, but doesn't seem to know what he's doing. And is he the one that thinks he's a rock star?
Yes, he's got like a band.
Yeah, I mean, I get like playing in a band and stuff and doing that and having fun as you get older, but he seems to think he's better than he is, I guess. So playing in his own events and things like that.
His weird bromance with Isaiah Thomas, who was not successful. All these
kind of a quirky rich dude. So but I mean, he's definitely somebody that's had their fair share of critics over the years.
And again, I think he falls in they're good this year, but like the Cardinals are occasionally. You think, they figured it out, but it's still
the Arizona Card.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is a very well-known franchise, right in the middle of money, right? They haven't won an NBA title since '73. Now, again, you go through that. They haven't been even. They played in the '94 and '99 NBA Finals and got knocked out. But, man, they have not sniffed. They're very similar to the Washington Redskins Commanders, who at least won it 3 times in the 80s and 90s.
And in the late 90s, look, they ran up against Jordan, they ran up against Hakeem, and they ran up against that first Spurs team.
Yeah.
That was Duncan and Robinson. So, they had some bad luck then, but again, since I've been in college, like the Knicks have not been someone that anyone's scared of.
Yeah, and they've had some dudes. They had Pat Riley coaching the team and had Patrick Ewing, a star.